What's up, my friends? Welcome to an Army News style video. I'm U.S. Army veteran Christopher Chaos, and today is a video that's getting demonetized because it talks about the coronavirus, and I know it's going to get demonetized because the last one did, and all of any videos on YouTube that talk about the coronavirus is getting demonetized, which I guess I get it, right? Advertisers don't want to have these big, fancy, friendly car commercials, video commercials about the TV series, whatever the case is, and then all of a sudden the video leads into something depressing as the coronavirus or whatever the hell it is. So I get it, whatever, but I still want to try to provide you guys with the latest of how the coronavirus is basically affecting the Army and give you an update as to some changes from my last video that talked about this topic. So in the other video, I talked about how the Navy and the Army is now starting to basically cancel graduation ceremonies to the public and going to stream it online and all sorts of stuff like that. And at that time, I wasn't sure what they were going to do as far as people going to basic training. Is there going to be some kind of screening process or whatever? Well, that escalated pretty quickly, and they're canceling basic training until sometime after May. Right now is what I'm seeing is they're looking at maybe resuming individuals going to basic training after May 11th. Now that timeline could get pushed, right? If things don't improve, then that could get pushed back even farther. We don't really know right now, but as of right now, it's getting pushed back to at least later than May. Nothing earlier than May, but that could get pushed more to after June or after July or after August. I don't know at this point in time. Now, for those of you that were in that time frame of going to basic training, you probably already know. You've probably already been informed several days ago or whatever the case was. But for those of you that are maybe curious about what are they doing for new soldiers going to basic training, well, there you go. They're basically just delaying it. Also talked about how Korea, they're locking down Korea basically to where people aren't PCSing from Korea, aren't going anywhere. So they're basically doing that now in the States too. Nobody is PCSing to any other locations, none of that stuff. So if people had schools to go to, people had, they were changing to another duty station, whatever the case was, all of that is on lockdown as well. That's still looking like the same time frame, sometime after May 11th-ish is what they're talking about, and then they'll start reopening it to people, to PCS to other locations, to go to schools again. So for now, nobody's PCSing anywhere. Everybody's just stuck at whatever duty station they're assigned to right now. For soldiers in the Army, they're getting pretty, crazy with lockdown stuff. They're limiting soldiers to 30 miles from the base. Some individuals are saying that they're stuck to, the base itself for single soldiers. A lot of things on the Army installations are starting to shut down. They have already, on Fort Carson and a lot of other installations, have shut down gyms, shutting down MWR facilities for recreational type of things. So far, the PX and the commissary will remain open. I'm sure that's something they're going to keep open. I don't think that's anything they're shutting down. They are kind of limiting, I think, some of the hours to get a chance to restock items, and they're also limiting items. Fort Carson, for example, is actually making it to where, for the commissary, you're only allowed basically one shopping cart. So if you're trying to stockpile a bunch of stuff into multiple shopping carts, they're not allowing that. They're allowing one shopping cart per customer. Now you can load up that shopping cart with nothing but toilet paper or canned goods or water or whatever. They're not really restricting items from what I understand, but they are restricting as far as the cart, that you can't have more than one shopping cart. They're also deploying non-commissioned officers, not MPs or anything specific as far as law enforcement, just non-commissioned officers to the PX and the commissary to kind of help enforce the standards. I guess they want to have a little bit of authority, someone in uniform to kind of help the civilians be able to kind of manage the restrictions that they're doing. Other installations I've heard are doing this as well, just to kind of have some kind of military presence to let you know, hey, don't try to just run over these civilians and be like, no, I'm buying this stuff. It kind of feels a little bit more official, I guess, if you have a military individual telling you, no, you can't do this, and especially if you're military yourself. At first, at the gates, they were just using gloves and checking IDs that way. Now, on Fort Carson and several other installations, they're not even doing that. They're just having you hold out the ID, they inspect it, maybe have you flip it over, check out the other side of it. Some gates are scanning it because they have little handheld scanners, and they're scanning it and then making sure that you're good, and then letting you go about your way. So they're no longer actually physically touching the IDs. There are also several installations that are dropping the manning. So they are doing things like squad PT. They are trying to restrict formations. Not every unit is doing this. They have advised to try to keep away from large group gatherings like formations and everything, but I'm hearing a lot of units that aren't really doing that. It's not really a requirement. It's just more of an advisement, I guess, to try to help mitigate any kind of spread, but it's not really a requirement saying no formations are allowed. They're just saying we recommend that you try to mitigate that. So some people are kind of taking that a little bit out of context. Some people are saying that, we are not supposed to be in these formations when that is not really the case. They're just saying that they don't advise it and they would prefer you not to, but there's some circumstances where it just happens to happen. Maybe you should put out information for company formation or whatever. There's ways you can get around it, but there's some units that aren't doing that. But that's not to say that they're, breaking some kind of rule that the commanders are putting out. Now, there might be some installations that are putting down like as a strict rule and you can't break this rule kind of a thing. But like Fort Carson, it's more of an advisement kind of a thing to stay away from it. So that still is kind of varying from post to post. Now, several units are actually limiting the manning power as well. They're limiting to like dropping down to like 10% and deciding that, hey, we're only going to keep mission essential soldiers on duty for them to do mission essential tasks. And then everybody else is kind of just work from home kind of a thing. I mean, it's not really, they call it that, but you're probably not going to do anything. You're probably going home and doing nothing. Maybe some units are, forcing soldiers to maybe do some kind of online classes through some kind of, military websites or something like that. But probably a lot of them are just staying home just to keep from possibly spreading the virus. Certain functions don't have a choice. Obviously, medical staff don't have a choice. They need to be there to do things like individuals that are MPs, dining facility personnel. A lot of those ones, aren't going to be working from home, can't do so. Things that need to run the base have to be essential and, do their work. But there are a lot of other units that don't need to be around and on base. Maybe some of your infantrymen, right? You might have some essential training because you still have to do some training, right? We can't just go and get completely complacent and not keep our soldiers ready, keep them proficient. So if something was to all of a sudden happen, then we would not be able to respond because we've been lazy for the last several weeks and haven't been doing crap. So there still has to conduct training and everything like that, but they're going to look at what training is really essential training. So units are probably still going to go to the field. Units are still going to go to the ranges. You still have to do some work, but if it's just a thing where, we have this useless class that was just going to fill some time, well, then they're probably going to cancel that kind of thing. Because we definitely don't want to go getting complacent and being like, all right, well, we're just going to have all soldiers except for military police and dining facility people and medical people, just go home and not do anything for the next couple of weeks or whatever. And then all of a sudden, terrorists or someone who wants to take advantage of that knows that, hey, the military hasn't been doing crap for a while and they're probably not ready and they're probably all being lazy at home. Now is a great time to attack, right? So they want to stay very proficient and make sure that everybody's ready at all times. So they're limiting where they can, but other places they're still trying to do what they can to stay ready and stay prepared for any kind of threat that could possibly happen. I know I've seen on Facebook and everything for different installations, people are complaining, being like, oh, we shouldn't be going to the field, we shouldn't be doing PT, we shouldn't be doing this, we shouldn't be doing that. But, you need to find ways to still do those tasks, but maybe find ways to do that without, spreading some kind of risk to other individuals. Now, soldiers probably don't have to worry about, the virus, right? That's not really what we're talking about. For the most part, a lot of the soldiers, for the most part, are probably healthy enough to get through the virus if they get it, whatever. But the thing is they could possibly spread it to people who are more prone to it, maybe people in the local population or even other soldiers that maybe have some kind of, possible, kind of things that, could make it a lot more heavy complications or something. Because yes, if a soldier gets the coronavirus, the high chances that they're going to be fine, right? But if they also transfer that over to a sergeant major who's like 50, or maybe even a civilian that works in the dining facility that's older or has some kind of medical condition, well then, that could be very detrimental to that person's health. I did see that a lot of people are concerned that the Class 6 is going to shut down. If you're not familiar with the Class 6 is, that's where on-base soldiers can buy alcohol. And I actually saw that the Class 6 apparently is going to stay open, so don't worry about that. At least for now. Things could obviously change and that could get shut down as well, though. Even as I'm recording this video, there's a possibility that my day job could be getting shut down for a couple of weeks. I train soldiers on different systems, and if those soldiers are going to limited manning and they have to do those specific tasks, then they're not going to have enough people to go to these, this training that I offer, that I teach at the facility. So then that makes it to where, well, then there's no point in us being at that facility to possibly, spread the virus if one of us had it and didn't know it or something like that. So as of making this video, I don't even know if I am going to still be able to work on base for the next couple of weeks, or if I'm going to have to go into like a self-quarantine status kind of a thing because we're not allowed to show up to work. And there are a lot of other civilians on these installations that are affected in the same way. Individuals that work at the gyms, individuals that work at some of these other MWR facilities, so they are in these situations as well where they are stuck with having to use vacation time during this time frame. Maybe their employers are really cool and they're allowing them to work from home or something like that, but there are other locations that are not allowing that, and you basically either have to use up your leave or just go without pay. So it's definitely a tough situation. And my personal opinion, now there's a lot of other things and a lot of medical stuff out there that I don't understand, so I'm not going to try to assume that I understand everything. But me personally, in my opinion, I feel like I'm more worried about all the other stuff. I'm not even worried about the virus anymore. I'm more worried about how all this stuff is shutting down on base, off base, and everything, that I don't even care about the virus anymore. So that's just my opinion. Obviously, for some people, the virus is the top level of concern because of your immune system or whatever, kind of things. And I understand that. But for other people, like, for example, me, like I said, I'm more worried about what the hell we're going to do about these grocery stores and other places that are starting to shut down, and how is that going to affect the rest of the world. So it's definitely a crazy, complicated situation that I don't claim to know everything about. It's my opinion, right? Don't go thinking that, what I'm saying is, the best facts to go off of or whatever. No, go off of the more professionals. I'm just some dude who was in the Army who has a YouTube channel, right? So don't go off of whatever I'm saying. But in this video, I just really kind of wanted to give you guys an update as far as what changes have happened since the last video, as far as basic training, things that are happening on Army installations, and how it's really affecting the Army. And it's definitely having a big impact. Leaders are daily having these meetings to decide, what's the status, what confirmed cases do we have on in the installation, what places do we need to shut down to try to control the spread of it, how are we going to, facilitate individuals that, maybe need to go into quarantine, or anything else that's happening. So there's a lot of things that are going on. Changes are happening daily. I mean, this video is going to go up, and something probably between me recording it and this video going up, there's probably a lot more things that have changed and impacted it. So I probably won't continue doing a bunch of like coronavirus update videos. If there's something really serious, there might be another one that follows at a later point in time, but little minor things here and there, like if they push back basic training even further, push back other training or whatever, I probably won't do an update on that. But if it does start to get even more and more serious with things, then yeah, there might be another update. Otherwise, I think we'll just probably resume the normal Army educational videos and hopefully provide some news on other things Army related that maybe doesn't involve the coronavirus. Also, I'm hoping to, get back to monetizing my videos. So that's the thing too as well. So that's the update video. If you found that information helpful in any way, hit that thumbs up. Maybe even think about sharing it with someone that might also enjoy this information as well and want to know about it. But thank you so much. I'm Christopher Chaos, and I'll see you next time. See ya.